Now we are ready after we got punched in the face by Ryan. We were.
That was years of pent up aggression.
He was able to finally get it all out and get us ready to go, ready to get started. This is the real show. This is how it all happens.
Ooh.
How you doing?
I'm really good now. That felt really.
Sometimes you just need a big slap across the face to really feel it.
Did that look real? I need to know. Because
Did it look real?
as we are theater majors, was that real? Did you believe it?
I know.
Did you believe we were all fighting?
Who were we talking to recently? That said that they had like stage combat, like trials and tribulations, and they were so good at it. I forget. We were like, I was very impressed.
Who'd we talk to last time?
Yeah, I was very impressed with their pedigree in stage combat. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Hello, I am Greg Tito, and I'm joined by Shelley.
Hello.
Mazanoble.
It's nice to see you.
Hello.
Hello.
It's good to see you again.
Very professional.
We had last week off from the Dragon Talks Live, although you still got to hear it in your ears. So yeah, this is where we basically show you how our amazing show happens. And mostly each show starts with a punch in the face, right?
Always. That's how we get that nice rosy glow. Right? Remember? Pinch your cheeks. Pinch your cheeks. Get the rosy glow.
Is that what you do? If I pinch my cheeks, then this pimple is going to explode all over you. Do you want that?
Facing me.
I saw you yesterday, and I was like, I don't think this thing is going to have to be interviewed.
It looks like a mole. It doesn't look like
I know.
mole.
And then my daughter was looking at my face. She's like, when did you get this new dot on your face? Because I have other dots on my face, which she likes, and she likes to point at. But then she's like, you got this new dot when you were born. You've had this new dot. I'm
You
like,
could say it's for your birthday, sweetheart.
that's what I said. That's what I said.
Did you
I
really?
grew it. I grew this pimple just for her.
Well, I don't know if you saw on my Facebook page that when I was in a very crowded store waiting in line, Quinn screamed really loud, "Mommy, are you turning into a man?"
What?
I know.
Why?
I said, no. Why? And he said, because I see hair on your body.
Oh.
Or my leg, on my legs.
On your
and
legs.
Because he was like running around my legs. So I was like, there's hair on your legs. Like that's.
You're like, thanks for the vote of
so
confidence,
cool.
kid.
Thanks for letting everyone at Marshall's know that.
It wasn't even like a grocery store.
No,
it was Marshall's.
So like nobody was phased. They were like,
Oh man,
whatever.
that is good stuff.
Kids
Did you
these
did you
days.
teach him? Did you learn him good after that?
I said, you're not going to college because I'm going to get laser hair removal now.
This is what you've driven me.
Yes.
Your education is coming at quite a cost.
Sorry.
Oh,
But speaking of children, lovely birthday party.
oh, thank you. Yes, I put it on all myself.
Yeah,
Did everything.
It reeked of Greg Tito.
We went to the bowling alley, kids. It was a lot of fun. A lot
Greg's
of
daughter.
rolling bowls down. That's the best part. Is they have these racks now. I don't know if people who don't have young kids know, but at bowling
That was
alleys they
amazing.
have these tracks that you can put in front of the thing. So if you can just roll a ball down,
Yep.
and very little interference by the kids and the parents, they could just
And the
have at it.
bumpers.
And the
Which
bumpers.
were very subtle. I didn't actually think they were on.
Yeah.
I was like, why wouldn't they put them on there? Quinn's just going to be totally disappointed.
I
but
know.
it just kind of like bounced off. And
Yeah.
it was really fun. He's now wanting to take bowling lessons. But I forgot to tell you, I saw your other daughter in the restroom.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm winning in my group. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, when did you get so good at bowling? And she's like, well, I had my party here when I turned 4.
She did.
And I said, oh, it's like, is that the thing to do? 4-year-olds have their parties at bowling alleys? And she goes, it's what the Titos do.
Oh.
I know, it was so sweet.
Oh, that is sweet.
And
That
then she just
breaks my
laughed
heart
and
a
she
little
was
bit.
like, it's what the Titos do. And then she just walked out.
Edna's got style.
She does.
She really does.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's kind of my favorite.
She was so proud to be winning because there was a
Yeah.
10-year-old who was playing there too, and she was happy to win.
Well, she was good.
She was
Her
good.
score was like over 100.
She got 100. She got exactly
Oh, she
100.
did?
Yeah, very excited. I'm happy when I get over 100 in bowling.
Me too.
Me too.
So
Me 3.
that was pretty good.
Awesome, guys. So we got started a little bit late with this little bit. So I apologize to Aram, who's probably waiting for us right now. But should we do our intro segment now? Or was that our intro segment?
That was our intro.
What do you think, Ryan? I think we should do a real intro segment for reals. What?
Mark?
Mark? Did I say Mark? Marth.
Oh.
We call him by his last name only,
Okay.
right?
Mark.
Mark. The puncher. I will call him by a different name now that he is.
I knew it. Bad day.
Excellent. All right, so welcome to Dragon Talk, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for reals
No, I'm so confused.
to do our intro. I'm Greg Tito. I'm joined by Shelley Mazanoble.
Very confused.
Very
Shelley
confused.
Mazanoble.
Yeah.
All right. So this is our intro.
Now
all
you're
that,
ruining
all
it.
that other stuff.
Was that not? Well, I felt
Didn't
like that was the
happen?
intro
I
to the
don't
Twitch part rather than the actual podcast
Oh,
part.
okay. So this is like if you're sorry. Can you just edit that?
Let's do it again real quick. You ready?
Yes.
All righty. This is what happens every week, you guys. It's good stuff. Welcome to Dragon Talk. My name is Greg Tito, and I'm joined by...
I'm Shelly Mazanoble.
And
Hi.
this is the official Dungeons & Dragons podcast. Did you know that?
Nope.
No. Where we talk about things pertaining to both Dungeons and Dragons,
Right.
as well as board games that,
And board games.
that Shelly is playing and/or producing.
Right.
And we today have an exciting guest. It's Aram Vartian, who you may know from God's Fall. We had him on the podcast a while ago, along with one of his cast members.
It was Trevor, by the way.
It was Trevor. You did not.
I
That's
don't
why
have-
you looked at me blankly, and I'm like, we've talked to him before, and you're like, I don't remember him, but we will be talking to him today, and you'll get to see all of his glory, or hear all of his glory.
And he has a really good voice.
He's got a very good voice.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you've got lots of questions. You want to like ping him for voice acting questions.
I do. Yes.
Nice. You will. But let's do
Voice
a
like
couple
butter.
of quick announcements before we get to the
Oh, yeah,
Lore You
what's
Should Know
new?
segment. Tomb of Annihilation is coming out. Did you know that?
No.
We did our stream of Annihilation. It was more than a month ago now. Introducing the new storyline that's coming out from Dungeons & Dragons. It is coming on September 19th and September 8th into game stores. So if you have game stores on your brain, you can pick it up there. But everybody else should be able to get it on September 19th. What else can we talk about? Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms from Codename Entertainment. We announced that, or they, Codename Entertainment announced a few weeks ago. They've been updating with new adventures that have been coming out from week over week. The first one was Minsk and Boo that you'll be able to play with. Send them
From
out on
Baldur's
adventures.
Gate.
It's an idle game, so basically what you do is you send your party out on adventures, you collect gold, you defeat monsters, all kind of ongoing at all times. But you can check in and make them better, tweak them a little bit.
that.
Yeah, make your set up your lineup. So if you like certain characters from D&D lore, you can put them in your lineup, and you can
just send 'em
optimize
out?
them. And they're going all the time. They're
And then you
already
just kind of check on them.
you check in, you change it up, you collect. If you're doing it, it gets a little bit better, but you can always be collecting gold and stuff at all times.
It's like having a kid.
It's like having a kid.
Just send them out there.
It's like a real-time
Bring
game.
home the gold.
So that game is coming out in quarter 3, August, September kind of area. It'll be free to play. You can find out more of it at Idle Champions on Twitter or idlechampions.com. Also, HasCon is coming up. You know about HasCon?
I know about HasCon.
It's a convention in Providence, Rhode Island,
Yep.
by our corporate overlords, Hasbro Entertainment, who has a few properties you may know of, such as My Little Pony,
G.I. Joe.
Transformers, all kinds of fun stuff. And they are putting on
Little
this.
Pet Shop.
That too, right? And what's the other pet thing they got? For real? The For Real Friends?
For real.
For
friends.
real.
Yep, got one of those.
For real.
For real.
They got them. All that stuff will be on display at HasCon September 8th through 10th in Providence, Rhode Island. As I said, we got the Dunkin' Donuts Center. It's going to be all Magic the Gathering tournament play in the Dunkin' Donuts Center, like an
you
arena.
had me at Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly. It's the home of Dunkin' Donuts is Rhode Island, the
Is it
whole New
really?
England area. Yeah, that's where it all came from.
So good.
D&D will also have tons of events there that you can play with your family. We're adding all kinds of things where you can play with your parents, play with your kids, onboarding experiences. So if you have a member of your family that's much more into, say, Littlest Pet Shop or My Little Pony, you can
Yes.
still show them something that you might love, like Dungeons & Dragons, and play with them as well as Magic cards. I mean,
Something for everyone.
it's something for everything.
Probably some cool swag that you can get.
It's going to be a Funmily event for everyone. That's registered
Did you make
trademark.
that up?
No. The ad wizards at Hasbro made that up, and it is a great way to get people in board for Dungeons & Dragons. Yes, the thing you were alluding to. What was that?
Swag.
Exclusive item.
Exclusive item.
Yes, My Little Pony dice.
Wait, can you say that?
I can say it.
Oh.
I can say it. That's what I
thought
do.
that was a surprise.
It's not a surprise. You can get that at HasCon only. My Little Pony themed polyhedral dice that you can play Friendship and Magic with. What's the name
We
of the?
should get some and show them to the people.
Yes, we have prototypes here, but not the
They're
full
really
full on
cool.
product. It's
They're
pretty
really, really good.
It's pretty great. There's also some great Magic cards that are going to be exclusive
Yes,
to
I heard
HasCon, involving I don't know. I don't want to spoil their stuff because I don't know when they're going to announce it. So maybe I'll have our Magic friends on and we can talk about more about that stuff. Anywho, you should go check that out. HasCon. It's at hascon.hasbro.com. Hasbro.com. Click on the tickets tab and scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see all of the D&D games you can buy tickets for there. D&D Beyond is in beta. Phase 2 and 3 came out last week. You can make your characters. It's amazing. Go test it out. It's got all the basic rules for free up there right now. So basic races, basic classes. You can level them up. You can create homebrew content, which is also kind of amazing.
It feels like this is really fast.
Remember when we talked to Leah and Adam about Frostballs?
Yes.
They made the Frostballs spell in D&D Beyond.
Serious?
It's there already. I think Adam made it for me because he's an awesome guy. So thanks, Adam.
Now you need the Bing Bong spell.
Oh, we do need a Bing Bong spell. I'm going to design it. I'm going to design it and put it on there. But what's cool about that is everybody can search like everybody's homebrew content that people have made and see other people's spells and maybe use them in your campaign. I don't know. It's kind of cool. I've loved what's up there too, and we'll have more information about their launch of D&D Beyond coming up very soon. So check that out. Plane Shift Amonkhet came out. This is when, also with our Magic friends, they create different worlds, going to different planes. James Wyatt, who used to be on the D&D team, creates these free PDFs where you can basically adventure as D&D players in the worlds of Magic. It's really cool.
Can I just say?
What?
It is about time.
It's about time that there's been this mixing of
Crossover.
worlds. I know, right?
I know it seems like, I don't know why it didn't happen before, but come on.
Yeah. Exactly. It's neat. I mean, basically the D&D multiverse is basically the Magic multiverse. And so let's multiverse it together.
There's a lot of crossover there. It's just, it's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're doing that.
And people have been really digging it so far. Yeah. So if you like it, definitely shout out to James Wyatt on Twitter. I believe he's at Aquella James. I might get that wrong, but I think that's what. All from memory, people. All from memory. So you can also search for Plane Shift Amonkhet. It's probably the best, easiest way to find it. It's on both the D&D site and on the Magic website. So if you're interested, download the PDF, play in those worlds. It's an Egyptian-themed world. It's pretty neat. One thing to check out there's 5 unique cleric domains, I believe, for the 5 gods that you might be able to adapt and or use in your campaign if you're interested. Yeah. Also, Dragon Plus issue 14 just recently came out. That is an app on iOS as well as Android or on the web. Go find that out. One cool thing about this issue, I mean, lots of great content is in there, including stories about Tomb of Annihilation and the stories that are coming out there. But there's a Rat Queens adventure that was written by Curtis Weeb, the creator of Rat Queens. It's a comic book. I don't know if you've heard of it before. 4 badass female characters going through a very adult world. So this is not something you introduce to your kids just yet, but once they turn 18, show them Rat Queens. It's really fantastic, and this adventure is a great way to kind of introduce how that world works. It's really fun. I like it a lot.
Only in Dragon Plus?
Only in Dragon Plus can you find that adventure.
That's
exactly. Cool. So thank you to Curtis for putting that up there, and I'm really excited about it. So go check that out. Dragon Plus, issue 14. It's the word.
You know what I love about Dragon Plus?
I like pointing, by the way.
The covers.
Their covers are really great.
Oh, I love every one of them.
Shauna Wolf Narciso is been art directing those covers like it's a magazine, like it's a Wired or a New Yorker or something like that.
They're
it's
just
really neat,
really unique and cool, and I've always curious.
What's been your favorite cover so far?
I love the kitties.
You love the kitties,
but I loved Zuggy.
See, Zuggamoy is my favorite.
She's my favorite.
Yeah, if you're interested in finding out some of that, Todd Kenrick for Dungeon Life just recently did an interview with Shauna Wolf Narciso. Cool. I keep saying her middle name because I think she's got the coolest middle name in the world. But talking about how she commissioned the sculpture that was used for the cover of Dragon Plus. Zuggamoy, Queen of Rot, Lady of Destruction and Mushrooms and Fungus.
Ultimate Bridezilla.
Ultimate Bride. That was the image that you liked. Yeah, was when she was her wedding. Yeah.
Oh, so good.
How Do You Do This was pretty cool as far as the marketing art that goes for it. It was like my first thing with Dungeons and Dragons was Out of the Abyss. And
it was one of my last things.
Oh, pour one out. But now you're working on something really cool. What are you working on?
Well,
real quick, because we gotta get to Aram. He's been waiting. He's been waiting for 27 minutes.
Just nothing that cool. You just totally took the wind out of my sails really fast. Some board game called Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. Best board game ever.
People got to play it at Origins. They liked it.
They got to play it at Origins, and they really liked it. And there'll be some other opportunities to play it before it comes out, hopefully.
Yeah.
And it's so good. It's just good.
It's just good.
It's really good. I mean.
So it's sad you don't get to be as into D&D all the time, but you got some cool things going on with the Betrayal at Baldur's Gate.
I have my own things.
You have your own things.
Yes. Own things. Over on the hill. The Avalon Hill.
That's what they call it, the hill?
That's what my desk is called. The hill.
I thought you were over the hill.
Oh, snap. I am, actually.
Damn it.
I am over the hill.
No, man.
I'll never be over the hill.
I'm so sorry, Shelley. I'm
a
also
jerk.
over the hill. We're all getting older. The impending death that's coming from the soulmonger is going to destroy us all.
Ryan's crying.
As he should. We are going to throw it to a lore you should know segment, or maybe a sage advice segment. We'll see. We're going to roll some bings and some bongs, and you're going to hear that, and then we'll get right to our interview with Aram. I know. I hope I'm saying that right. All right. That was a really fun segment. I really like hearing about both rules and lore. Sometimes at the same time. We get both of them sometimes. It's amazing, right?
Mm-hmm. It's just weird.
It is weird. It is weird because we're time travelers.
It's a good thing I'm a theater.
We are explorers of the multiverse.
Yep.
And in that way, we're going to go to the land where God's Fall takes place, and/or the Dungeon Rats, and hear from Aram Vartian about some stuff he's got going on. So let's call him up.
Hey.
Hello.
How's it going?
How are you,
Love when
man?
it works.
I am much better, thank you.
Good. Sorry to keep you waiting for.
That's okay. I'm here.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Don't worry. You can go ahead and take your video off if you want.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Just
No
for
problem.
bandwidth reasons. We're still trying to. Oh wait. Did we lose him? That sounded like a hang up, not a.
He was
Get rid
like,
of
you don't
video."
want me on video? You don't get me. You get me. Not at all. It's the whole
Sorry
thing.
about that.
No worries.
Totally hit the wrong button.
That has
It
happened to me
happens.
so many times where I'm like, I'm just gonna turn off
It's
the
not
video.
live or any.
You just see a big red button. You're like, okay, that's off. Oh shit.
That's right. Oh, but we don't have video, but we do have an awesome picture that you provided to
Oh
us.
yeah, look at that.
Which one did you pick?
We did the blue and orange flame.
Perfect.
I love that one because
good.
I was like,
Awesome.
oh, it's an action shot from real life.
yeah, right, exactly. Because I can do that.
That's you in the kitchen, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just cooking up things.
Flambe.
Yeah.
Bananas
exactly.
Foster.
So I was telling Shelley that we have talked to you before, but she looked at me blankly, and I'm like, no, we have, but it was not her. She was not here.
It
So
was Trevor. It was never Trevor.
so what can you tell her as well as our listeners for people who may not know of your work?
Well, my name is Aram, and I run a actual play podcast called God's Fall, which has an original world using the D&D rules, and I've been running that for a couple years now, and we're just wrapping up our first world book.
That is really cool. I was reading about that actually.
I'm pretty excited. I had no plans on doing it. I am a high school dropout. I have never written anything, for publication ever. And the fans were just insistent. And so we ran a Kickstarter. They were wonderfully supportive, and we're finally wrapping it up now. There's some amazing art in it. Almost all the artists were fans of the show. So we'd get art from people and I'd be like, oh, they're amazing. I'd love to work with them in the future. So we were able to incorporate all of them into the book. And that really made me happy.
So these were like artists that provided fan art for the podcast before, or how did you?
Exactly.
Oh, that's
exactly.
really cool.
Some of them have never published. Some of them are just getting started out. A couple of them are more professional, but I mean, most of them are pretty new to the game. So it was great to be able to work together with them.
That is awesome. So you you said you've never published anything, but how do you begin working on a world book?
That's a good question. I
you.
worked for newspapers for 14 years.
Okay.
So I had some ideas as far as the graphic design, the layout, the technical work I could do. As far as the writing, I had written so much for the game. I just incorporated a lot of it, wrote a lot more, and just had help. I just reached out to my fans and said, listen, if you want to help me edit it, if you want to help me work through this, if you have ideas, I need all the help I can get. And then I blew way past my deadline because I had no idea how long it was going to take. But it's coming together well.
Sweet. So what is the core nugget of what makes God's Fall cool beyond the live play audio stuff, which is amazing? I love the production that you put into it. I know when we last talked, you said you spend like 20 to 30 hours in post-production creating each episode, which is crazy. So I hope that's shortened the more you've done it.
It has, thank God.
Good. But what?
Thank all the gods.
What is God's Fall? How would you describe it to someone who didn't know the setting at all?
God's Fall is basically it began as a traditional fantasy world with a pantheon of gods and a world that involved magic that came from the gods, and then the people began to turn inwards. Their magic became so powerful, their cities became so grand that they turned away from the gods and kind of into themselves. And the largest city on the planet bore its own god of man. So a god was born to this plane, and that caused a huge war between all the gods who killed each other and obliterated most of the world. So everything that's left is in this small eye of a continuous world storm that swallows the rest of the planet. It destroyed the gods, it destroyed magic, and now in this broken, drowned world, the players are the new gods because their power is coming back 100 years later. So if you kind of think superpowers plus Dungeons and Dragons, that's the niche that we're in.
Neat.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. And so the world book kind of goes into the detail of like each of the cultures that you guys have experienced, as well as histories on these gods.
Absolutely. There's a whole bunch of really meaty story detail. And then, of course, there's every single god's individual divinities that I've designed to kind of lay over a regular D&D character. So there's these at-will powers, and there's an extra stat called a divinity score, and each god is attached to like strength or dexterity or intelligence. And so there's 36 different power trees along with the normal abilities you would have as a player, but it can be dropped into any campaign.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Do you
it's
have
been a lot of work.
Do you have a template for other people who want to create, their own thing that might fit their homebrew campaign or something like that?
It's not. I mean, it's kind of just thinking up ideas. I really honestly, it was so hard. Writing technically is so hard.
Yeah.
It was so difficult to get that done. I haven't thought beyond that as far as a template, but I have thought of a template for demigods, because if a god has a child with a mortal, they produce a demigod which has a fraction of their power. So I have worked on that, but maybe in the future we'll do another book.
Finish this one first.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What are your thoughts on the demigod as portrayed in the Disney movie Moana?
Oh my God, I love that movie. I love
so
that
good,
movie
isn't it?
so much. I cried. It was the first Disney movie where it really seemed like there was some. I mean, there's always heart in Disney movies, but this one seemed like there was heart that was kind of free of some of the other trappings of Disney. There was an honesty to it. I absolutely love that movie.
I do too. Yeah, my kids have just recently delved into it like super hardcore, so I've been watching a lot more, and I've been like, oh, this is a nice change of pace of the movie that I'm going to watch over and over again.
Right.
Yeah, you'll watch
like
that
it.
37 more times this week, I bet, right?
Yeah, it's a good thing that the songs are so catchy.
I haven't seen the whole thing. I've seen like chunks of it.
Me too.
And like different,
honestly.
like just like not even in order. I really don't know the story that well.
Well, it's all about a superpowered crab and his princess sidekick, from what I've read.
I've seen the crab. I like the crab. We watch his song on YouTube a lot.
That is,
absolutely.
I love that it took me a while, but that it was the guy from
Flight of the Conchords.
From Flight of the Conchords,
Yes.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that he was doing his like Bowie impression.
Yes.
Yeah, basically, he just whipped out something he's been doing for 10 years, and it was brilliant.
Yeah, that's a crab.
perfect.
That makes perfect
As a
sense.
crab.
I know.
And his sidekick princess. I like it. There you go.
So did you just recently move? Is that right?
Oh yeah, I'm in Chicago now. I moved from DC to Chicago.
Oh.
I love DC. The gaming community there isn't quite as strong as in some other cities because it's such a transient city. And I just met an amazing group of improv actors and musicians and comedians up here, and it's been the most creative space I've been in probably my entire life.
In Chicago now?
Absolutely.
That's cool. Yeah, we actually just talked to a
Was
few
just there?
comedians. You were just there.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the amazing actors and comedians.
Sure. I don't remember our paths crossing, but yeah. Probably.
But
I
yeah,
was in the suburbs.
a lot of the people from the comedian world that we talk to on this podcast all come from Chicago. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, sure.
It's like a hotbed of comedy.
Well, the improv scene is insane. I was told about it before I got here. I'd never experienced anything like it. There's dozens of clubs. There's thousands of people involved in it, and they are very, very dedicated.
Nice. Does that cross over into their Dungeons and Dragons play?
You know, it's funny you asked that because I started recently on a show with my friends up here, and it's called The Dungeon Rats, and the entire idea of the show is that our characters are trapped in this endless magical dungeon, and the listeners submit ideas. So each week, whatever encounters or rooms or creatures we run into, our listeners submitted ideas, and because they're all improv actors, they just roll with it.
Oh,
I mean,
I am just.
Oh, I'm just hanging on. I am the straight guy that's just trying to be decently funny, along with an unbelievable cast. It's also probably the best produced thing I've ever been involved in. It sounds better than my show. I've learned a lot from these guys.
So, did you say you knew these guys before you moved, or you just came across this group?
I ran into Patrick O'Rourke, who runs the show, because I ran into the One Shot guys up here, and we just clicked. He had this idea for a show. I was on board. I guest starred once, and then we just ran with it. The other producer on the show is Carlos, and he writes original music every single week, which is amazing.
That is amazing.
So there is a lot of work that goes into it. But yeah, I just met him. I had planned to move up to the area because I have family up here, and it just worked out great.
That's
Perfect.
super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got into the right group. It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at this point in my life. I'm 41 years old. I abandoned a rather successful video career to do Dungeons and Dragons, full time, and everything's kind of lined up perfectly. I just got really, really lucky.
Everything's come up. So I was gonna say everything comes up Aram, but then when I was talking to you and your brother, I noticed I was like, was he calling you Adam? Because he had.
Oh no, it's Aram. It's Aram, or it's Aram, or it's Aram. I mean, it can be said so many different ways. Trust me, I've heard everything. I spent a good time in the Navy hearing Aram Vartian, so I've heard everything.
Nice. All right. So I started when I was telling Shelly, I used the way your brother pronounced it because
Sure.
I was like, oh right, yeah, that feels more true to life.
No, sure.
Because he's been doing it a few times. I'm sure he said your name a couple times.
Yeah, I've heard it from him a lot. Usually yelled,
Yeah, maybe it just sounds different when you're screaming it.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
I guess that
Different
is true.
inflection.
Awesome. So yeah, you were busy at work getting this book ready. When do you think it's going to be delivered?
It is absolutely going to be wrapped this month. We are doing the final edits on it now, and as soon as I am 100% happy that it's good, the PDF goes out immediately, and then it goes to Kraken Print here in Chicago, which is a brilliant print house, and then we're going to knock it out. We're going to print a map on the inside cover wrap for some of our supporters. There's all these little additions they can do that's really going to make this book shine.
So this is an actual printed product that you're.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not just a PDF.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's right now it's 278 pages. It may fluctuate a bit. I'm not 100% sure yet, but probably right around that number.
That's pretty impressive, man.
So was it weird to write this? I mean, these are like your notes and your world that's in your head, and now it's coming out there into the world.
It's completely insane. Every time, I mean, I'm looking at the InDesign layout right now, and it's insane for me to. I mean, as soon as I have the print a product, it's going to feel like someone else did it. I mean, I honestly don't know how I'm going to react. I'm probably just going to break down and cry because it's been so much effort. But yeah, it is weird. The whole thing is weird.
So how will people be able to get this book that maybe if they didn't know about the Kickstarter?
So we are currently taking signups right now for reservations. We're going to be launching our backer kit store shortly. But if you go to godsfall.com/worldbook, all the information is right there, including previews of the book, of the art. There's a video preview of our first adventure. One of the things we're working on is that once the world book's out, I want to do adventures, but I want to combine them with what we do. So I'm going to take every single description box and I'm going to record them with music and sound effects that bleed in and out. So when you're at your table, you can actually play the description boxes and kind of bring some of what we do right to your own table.
That is really cool. Yeah,
I'm excited.
I mean, maybe it's a tall order, but get together with like someone who's an app creator or a programmer or something like that, and have like a little soundboard that people could use when they're playing.
Absolutely. We actually work with Battle Bards,
Oh yeah.
who produces all of our, well, who offers us all of their audio to use in the show. So I'm, and they have an app, so maybe we can team up. I'll have to ask them about that. That'd be great.
I've been meaning to get together with those guys. They're in like Irvine, California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and they are the best. They work so hard, and they are so nice, and they've been so generous to just give us their entire catalogs. I would highly suggest having a talk with them.
Neat. That is good stuff.
Yeah.
So the are you still able to record God's Fall with the the guys?
I fly home.
DC? No way, really?
I fly home like once every other month. We record for an entire weekend. I get about 8, maybe 10 shows out of it. I come back, I edit it, and I fly back home. Our Patreon supporters are very loyal.
That is super cool. And it's also like the best way to experience Dungeons and Dragons, I think, where it's like concentrated, few days, no distractions.
Yep.
You can really delve into the story.
Yeah. I tend to be a taskmaster, and now that we've got the new audio rig, I'm just gonna be worse. But they seem to enjoy still playing with me, so it's working out okay.
And people still enjoy listening. It's not a day goes by on Twitter where people don't recommend me to start listening. And I'm like, I know, it's amazing.
Greg was soliciting questions on what to ask you, and several of the questions, or maybe from what I was seeing, is people were just like, "He's just great. Ask him why he's great. Why is he so awesome?"
So why are you so awesome?
So what's the secret sauce here?
I mean, no one can really answer that. I mean, the only thing I could tell you as far as my relationship with the fans, that I try and be as open as possible. I try and listen to as many ideas as possible. I think not a lot of creators, but sometimes there's a tendency for creators to kind of guard what they make and maybe get a little defensive. When someone's listening and they have an idea, or they have a complaint, or they have an issue with something you've done, or maybe a way they think they can make it better, they're not doing it to knock on you. They're doing it because they love what you're doing, and they want to help, and they want to be involved. And I think that if you incorporate those ideas, if you welcome them and go, "Oh, this is great. How can I use this?" It just makes for a better experience for everyone.
Yeah, and we can live. I mean, obviously, there's lots of negative parts about having a society that's so connected to the internet and all that things.
Sure.
But there is positives, which is just what you're talking about. That you can get that kind of feedback like immediately and incorporate it, into the production.
Absolutely, you can go nuts doing that too. There's got to be a balance, but it is really helpful.
So yeah, obviously we've been talking a lot about God's Fall, and a good question came up in the Twitch chat.
By maybe the best handle ever.
DM Jazzy Hands says, if people want to start, should they start at the beginning, or is it the type of show where they can pick up in the middle?
Ooh, see, for me, I'm the kind of a person that I need to watch something from beginning to end. There's a lot of lore. There's a lot of background. There's a lot of history. We are what we call a serious D&D podcast. So there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of information you're going to miss out on. But there is a page on our website. If you go to godsfall.com/welcome, it has the history episodes. It has the intro episodes, and it shows you several points you can actually come into the story. Because we also have a season 1 wrap-up episode. So if you just want to get caught up on season 1 and then plunge right into season 2, you can do that as well. If you want to listen to the intros, you can do that. If you want to skip the history episodes, you can do that. So there's several points in.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you really have this, and you haven't been doing it that long, and you have this all figured out.
Well, I mean, I just listened. I listened to what people wanted, and I was like, okay, well, I'll incorporate that. I'll do this. I'll fix that, because that's the best way to learn how to do something. That's how I've always learned. I mean, I'm a high school dropout. Everything I've ever learned as far as editing, video, production, design, I've taught myself. So, or I've listened to someone. I've had someone who knows what they're doing show me. So if you don't listen, how are you going to learn?
So why did you drop out?
Oh God, because I was a gay kid who was too much in his own head, and high school was torture in 1990. In 1990 in Virginia, it was torture, and I just ran. I ran away, and I ran for a long time. It took me until I was 25 years old to finally stop running, sit down, figure out what I wanted to do. So I started taking apart websites. I got a GeoCities account. I taught myself web design. That got me into my first newspaper where I learned graphic design. That got me a camera in my hands where I learned video and editing and photography and layout. And I just spent 14 years kind of, that was my school. That was my real education, was working. And that I was able to spin all that into what I do now.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. It's sad that it came from a place of hardship, but
sure,
I feel like
most good things do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That is true.
Yeah.
Now, has your identity as a gay man like kind of changed up how you run a D&D campaign? Is that do you ever try to infuse some of those values into the stories?
Oh, absolutely. I do what's called write it out. The gods in my world were gender fluid, were very sexually fluid. There's no real concept of bigotry towards gay people, people with different sexualities, transgender people, non-binary people. It's all kind of part of what the gods do. So everyone else kind of incorporated those ideas. So I just simply wrote those concepts out. There's no real racism between humans, because why would you when there's orcs? So I was able to write all of those societal ills we have kind of out, or interpret them in different ways. Like there's tension between the humans and orcs, or a dragon is like this, and so I was able to take away the individual sting of it while still talking about it, but giving everyone kind of equal footing, so they could just be and just listen to a story that would include characters like them.
I love that world.
It's a good world. I wish it was our world.
I know, really. It sounds rather therapeutic, the way that you can write this world and explore different things in a safe space.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's been great for me. I've gotten letters from fans where I didn't do it on purpose. I just kind of did it. Right? There was no
as it moved you, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I didn't really think about how that was going to affect people. And some of the fans who haven't been so privileged to have the outlets like I do, who are young kids in Georgia, or young kids in many other countries as well, which has shocked me how international our audience has become. This is kind of like one of their only outlets. Mm-hmm. And even now, if you look at popular television and movies, there are LGBT characters, but they get killed off, or they don't find love, or they're always kind of pushed to the side, and we put them right to the front. Right, exactly. Yeah. And we shove them right to the front so that they can have full experience lives, but just treat them as any other people. And I think that really gives a nice entry point for some people who don't normally have those stories.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if do you have any advice for someone who would want to incorporate that kind of stuff into their D&D campaign without it feeling like, shoehorned in?
Yeah, I would say just write it. I mean, just write a person, and they just happen to be gay, or they just happen to be non-binary. And if you can bring it up in ways where it's not, this is the story of the week, let's showcase this, and then never speak about it again. Just have it be part of their character. And if you don't know these people and you're writing them, talk to people who live these lives. Don't think you can just do it, because you can't. And I've learned that. I mean, I thought I was aware, and I made a giant mistake recently in my show, and I learned from that mistake. So never assume you're the most open-minded individual, because there's always someone who knows a little bit more, and it's good to ask them before you write something.
This is really pulling two of these conversation threads together into one, is that your openness in dealing with feedback and changing up the show based on what your audience says, and also working in these different characters that don't normally see as much spotlight. Mm-hmm. Both of them happening at the same time is kind of amazing.
We are very lucky. We are in a place where people feel safe enough to be honest with us, and I'm just going to keep listening and keep writing for as long as I can.
Are you comfortable talking about what the mistake was?
Oh, sure.
Because now I'm interested.
Oh no, sure. So all of my arisen gods are, like there's a god of animals, there's a god of force, there's a god of water, and one of the gods was a god of plants, and it is literally an awakened cactus. It is a cactus that is kind of shaped like a person that has come to life. And as I was talking about this character, one of my fans asked me if the cactus would be non-binary. And I was like, well, of course the cactus would, because it just made sense in my head, but I didn't really think about it because I was thinking of the cactus as more of a collection of plants and less of a person. And so instead of referring to the cactus as they and them, I refer to the cactus as it. And that is a huge no, that is a slur, basically. And I just didn't think about it. It wasn't in my headspace. And some of my fans who feel very, very safe in my show felt, kind of T-boned by me doing that. So I went back and I put and I cut an apology into the episode, and I've learned a lot, and I'm writing more inclusive characters in the future from what I have learned. So hopefully I can help, repair a bit of that damage I created.
And that's an important, way to think about it, because it's not necessarily that because someone could take that, valid criticism and be like, well, that's just the way it is. It's just fantasy, and that's just the way I thought of it, and react in that kind of it's not a big deal type situation. And I've heard people say that, especially when talking about fantasy, but not realizing that you, the creator, make decisions that affect your audience, without kudos to you to be able to take that and be like, here, let's move on and learn from it.
And you're educating others on it. You've educated us.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Our listeners, so that's good.
I know.
That's what I hope, know. And honestly, if someone comes to you and says, I was hurt by this, that is a real thing. Whether or not you agree, whether or not you understand, someone is hurt. You can't just wave that away by saying, I disagree. That person is still going to be hurt. So you either deal with them or you don't. I mean, that's the only real option.
That's what I feel like I do with my kids, and I'm seeing, all the dad comments are showing up in Twitch, and I remember that you had mentioned that, so it's all coming out. But it does feel like that, where you're like, hey, it doesn't matter that your sister took that thing from you, and that's why you hit her in the face. Like, that's not important. What's important is that she's hurt,
right?
And that you need to apologize to her for hurting her. The reasons don't matter.
Yep.
Oh man,
it's
now
pain.
I feel bad.
Absolutely. Well, actually,
mom guilt.
You mentioned
Shelly's doing parenting all wrong now. She's just realizing.
I have so many apologies.
As you're mentioning the dad thing, I have a young audience. Well, some of them are young, and they have taken to calling me DM Dad. So for
I was going to ask about that. I saw that graphic on your website.
It's the best. For Father's Day, they sent me art and cookies and cards, and it was just they sent me a little stuffed cat. I mean, I was in tears. It was so sweet because I'm a single dude. I'm probably not going to have kids, and for people to kind of look at me as like a somewhat fatherly figure was an incredibly sweet thing.
That is, and to recognize you on that special day.
I have the song "Father Figure" playing in my head right now.
Well, I still have "Greatest American Hero" because that was on your. Was that the intro that I was listening to then, or like the?
We slipped "Greatest American Hero" into the first episode. Into the world building episodes because as serious as we are, jokes are important.
Yes. Can't take yourself too seriously.
Man, I love that show.
Absolutely not.
I know, right?
I love the Greatest American Hero.
Why aren't they remaking that? They're remaking everything. Remaking it. Oh, they are?
They are remaking it. I saw something about it. I haven't seen it in a while, but I know for a fact they are actually remaking that, and I'm sure it's going to be terrible. But the original show was terrible, so maybe that'll work out well.
Right. Terrible in a good way. Did we know it was terrible when we were watching it then?
Not at all.
Right.
I had older siblings who were like 9 years older than me, so I think they thought it was terrible, but they begrudgingly watched it with me, and then they started to like it a bit.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, I was aware of its campiness. I think as it was happening.
I just thought it was cool.
That was part of what made it fun.
Yep, loved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that theme song still holds up.
It does. That is a great theme song. That is a show I think that was carried by its theme song, and that is not that's a rare accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the theme song for your next show that you're going to do?
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that. I'm Carlos just wrote it. I'm working on a actual play podcast that is set in the Carnival world. If you guys watch that
way.
show,
Really?
Yeah.
You're finally gonna finish that story?
Oh yeah, I love that show so much. I am so pissed at HBO for them not finishing that story.
I'm gonna finish it myself.
Yeah. There was supposed to be a graphic novel. It never happened. So we're just gonna rewrite the story, rewrite the world, and just dive right back in.
So I have to ask, because I've heard you mention it, and I read about it when people were describing your podcast and all. I've never heard actual play as a term to describe.
That was the first time I had heard it too, frankly.
What does that mean?
It means that you're just, I mean, there's a lot of fantasy story shows which are not scripted, but are also not based on a game, right? So you take like the Magic Tavern, right? It's improvised, but it's not based on dice. So actual play is basically improvised storytelling where there's dice involved. That's how I understand it. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I even think of it just as like, there's streaming video of people playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then actual play is the podcast version, like the audio of people playing Dungeons and Dragons, just audio. There's just no video.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's different variations of that. It's like your show
that.
is way more edited and has sound effects and things like that, where some people just turn on a microphone and just play it too sometimes.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, that's how I learned. That's how I learned the 5e rules. I found out that there were these shows that had players actually playing the game, and I thought, okay, great. I can sit down at someone's table and learn the rules naturally. I can just incorporate them. What I found out was that, my expectation for everyone to know the rules was probably a bit high, which is why we put a buzzer and bell system into our show the first year. So every time we got a rule right, we would ding it, and every time we got a rule wrong, we'd buzzer it so the audience knew that we were screwing things up.
I remember those.
That's awesome.
They're far less frequent now. I think I get like one a show now where I'll mess up.
It's so funny how those older rules editions, people still say it now in the office. We'll be like, oh, make a spot check. Oh, wait, no.
Mm-hmm. I ran a whole surprise round for about 20 minutes recently and then realized there is no surprise round in D&D anymore.
This is true.
Yep.
Yeah. You have advantage on your rolls.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's this little, and it's such a streamlined system, but it is hard to peel 3.5 rules out of your brain when you played them for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. And it was so codified. Like there were everything was ruled out. So yeah, exactly.
Oh God, I remember I sat at a table for 10 minutes while my players tried to work out the arc of an arrow if it would pass over people and then come back down to earth. And they were all engineers, so they're doing the math, and I'm just
parabolas.
I have a pencil at my neck. I'm like, we have to wrap this up right now because I cannot take any more of this.
Like this math is why I quit school.
Right, exactly. This is half the reason I ran away.
PTSD.
Oh my God, that's funny.
So do you guys have you ever talked about doing any live streaming of this podcast, or strictly audio?
This podcast can't be live streamed. I mean, it just can't. We do way too much editing.
That's
There's
what
way
I
too much
said
audio.
about this podcast.
And I said we have to do a stream live.
I am working on forming a network with some of the people up here, and we are planning several different shows, and some of the shows we're planning will be live streams. In fact, the Dungeon Rats that I'm on began as a live stream and then became a podcast.
Oh.
So we're definitely going to do something. We're just not sure what
Yeah,
yet.
that group I can see doing something live. Because
Oh, yeah.
they're theatrical.
Improv comedians.
Yeah.
It's my biggest fear. I am a stutterer. This kind of thing where it's live is terrifying to me, and having like the camera on my face and having to worry about all that is I like editing in post, because editing is lying. You can make it wherever you want to. It's the best.
I like that too.
Editing is lying.
Creating
is lying. Isn't that like a Kurt Vonnegut line where like, what do you do for a living? And he's like, I lie for a living.
Yes. Oh God, I love him so much. That absolutely is one of his lines. He lies for storytelling is lying.
Yep.
Yeah.
In a nice way.
for dramatic and/or comedic effect.
Exactly. It's lying for the good.
Your podcast is really beautiful to listen to.
Oh, thank you.
It's just like soothing. Like I found myself just kind of getting lost in it, and then it was over.
Well, there's something I'm working on called Of Now and Then at ofnowandthen.com, where I take stories that are in the public domain and turn them into full audio production. So if you like that, I've got a couple really good ones up there, including a Kurt Vonnegut story, actually.
No way, really?
Yeah, it's that one. I have The Machine Stops. I have oh God, what is it called? The Well from H.P. Lovecraft. What the heck is that one called? Oh, The Color Out of Space. So there's some really good classic stories up there already.
Neat. And then you're just going to kind of read them and then have dramatic sound effects in the background, that kind of thing?
Oh, yeah. Lots of music. And then when we get into like more produced novels, I'm going to get multiple people. So there'll be different voices and it'll just be a full production.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should get into some of the more of the H.P. Lovecraft stuff, because those epistolary novels or short stories that he writes, they're very hard to read.
Mm-hmm. They're so hard to read.
Some of them are listen to, but
yeah, I feel like they would be much better as like performed. I really do, because it's so dense. And then if you were to make it flowery and actually have each of the, some of them are like the progression of madness. So like the vocal stylings could start somewhere where they're very normal sounding, and then they get their voice changes modulation over time. Like that'd be super interesting.
Absolutely. There's just so much you can do, and there's so much room to play with them. And, again, they're all there's hundreds of these, there's thousands of these stories that are just available to work with, and they're all amazing. There was The Machine Stops has blown me away. It was written over 100 years ago, and it is so true to today that it literally stopped me in my tracks several times when I was producing it. It's a stunning story.
Is it like prescient and what's happening now?
It basically talks about a whole society that has turned its life over to the machine. They live in these small little honeycomb cells underground. All of their contact with each other is through the machine, so it's all video and audio relays. It talks about it even talks about how people have become shorter tempered with each other because they're so used to everything being so so clean and so precise that daily interactions have become short and everything about it hits on our modern day life. And again, it was written in the late 1800s.
Wow.
What a cool idea that you're doing this.
I can't stop.
I love it. Good.
I can't stop. I can't stop making new things. Yeah, exactly.
Good. We don't want you to.
Keep it going.
Awesome. So I feel like you've only, like I said, you've only done this for a couple of years now, 2015.
Yeah.
But how have you seen the landscape change because I feel like D&D has kind of exploded in this genre, the live streaming and the podcasting. So what are you seeing or how has it changed since you started doing this?
I think I've seen two things. I think when I started, the whole reason I began God's Fall was because I wanted to add an idea of production into it, because there was a lot of people that again would just turn the mic on in the room, but there wasn't a lot of like introduction or background story. So I think that a lot more people have begun crafting their world and presenting them as full stories. But the main thing I've seen is access. Again, there are people who don't have a group of D&D friends that they can reach, or don't even have a group perhaps of friends in their town because they're just isolated, and this world gives them away. And because the technology has advanced to meet it, they can now reach out online and form parties and groups and friends. They can record whole podcasts with people who live in different countries in different time zones. I think that the access has been unbelievable. And the key point of that is how Dungeons and Dragons has made itself so open. What you guys have done by giving people an open license, by being welcoming to the community, by incorporating them in and kind of giving them an official stamp and saying, yeah, we not only do we approve of this, but we think it helps push our company forward and our own ideas forward, has been revolutionary. Without that, I honestly don't think it could have happened.
Nice. All right. Well, Shelley will pat herself on the back for that. Good job, Shelley.
Well done.
Because that all happened before I got here even too. So. It's amazing.
It's been impressive, and I think it's really grown the community.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, we're trying. I mean, I think it's one of those things where I think focusing on creators and people that are making something is what D&D is all about. I mean, It is storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think, in the past, people used to get hung up on the IP and controlling over it, and now we're at this point where Dungeons and Dragons is just a framework for everybody who has the idea of telling stories to their kids, to their peers, to everyone, and empowering that and giving that framework. And once we've embraced that, I think it locked into a lot of people's imaginations. I think almost in response to the themes that are going on in that story, The Machine, where a lot of people are walling themselves off from worlds and stories in a way, and only passively engaging in stuff. And so Dungeons and Dragons has been this thing where people can meet face to face with someone at a table and tell stories and have that wonderfulness happen in real time that you don't get when you're in this connected world all the time.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And again, stories have brought us together throughout time. They were they were our first history. So I think that, yeah, absolutely.
And you're doing some of exactly what you were complimenting Wizards for doing, is you've reached out to your community and you've allowed them to create content that you're now going to be publishing in a book. So who knows whose first break that you or who you just gave a first break to?
We've actually had people ask us when they get the world book if they can do a podcast in our world. So it's like Inception. It's like just birthing other shows. Yeah.
It just keeps going and going and
Cue
going.
I'm sure you have that sound effect queued up.
Oh yeah. I have like 18 like heavy bass hits. Yeah.
We need a bing bong.
We need a bing bong. Can you create a bing bong for us?
I can't do it. Actually, if I had been properly hooked up, I could. But unfortunately, I just got my audio. I can go whoa, and that's pretty much all I can do.
Nice.
We'll wait.
I love it. Well, we need to move on, but I would love to find out. You early on in the podcast, you talked about how people can get into your world, but give us a couple of ways that people can reach out, talk to you on Twitter, things like that.
Sure, absolutely. Again, our website is godsfall.com. I am on Twitter a lot at godsfalldc or Vartian, Vartian. You can also find us on Facebook. You can find us on Tumblr. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. Just search Godsfall, and that's probably going to be us.
Nice.
He's everywhere.
You're everywhere.
Yeah. We try. We're in the machine.
Your SEO game is strong.
I learned that from the news, from a dying newspaper industry. I learned that you got to be. There's no option.
This is true.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Aram, for coming and talking. And I can't wait to see the book when it comes out. And I'm sure I'll be seeing it at a lot of game stores and game tables over the next few years.
Yep.
You're going to get the second one right after my mom. How about that?
Oh.
Nice. Sounds good.
That's awesome.
Great, man.
Thank you guys so much. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. And I'm yours whenever you want me on.
Will do. Well,
right.
That's it. You're
Good to know.
a weekly guest now. It's just
you can have the third chair right here.
Perfect. Next time I'm in Seattle, I'll take you up on that.
Okay.
Oh, we'd love that for sure.
Definitely.
Awesome.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. He's great.
That is great.
He's great.
I love all of the creativity that he's putting forth.
He is doing a ton.
I know.
He's one dude.
He's going to be like franchising himself out to everything going forward.
Yeah, good. It's a really cool world that he has built there.
Yeah, and I love the idea of, showcasing people who come from different backgrounds, not through like, this is our spotlight on the gay story, or this is our spotlight on the trans story, things like that, but just like making it part of your world is, I think, amazing and really kind of refreshing.
Yes, we could all learn a thing or two from that one.
Exactly, it's true.
Who we are.
Well, that has been an episode of Dragon Talk. Shelley and I are deeply moved to go watch Moana. After this.
Yes, I really want to see it.
It's good. I think you should. It's very D&D kind of story
parts
too.
that I've seen were good.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What else do you have going on that you might want to talk about here at the end? Where can people follow you at on the Twitters?
At Shelley Moo, SHELLYMOO. Shelley Moo.
We haven't heard from Fury the horse in a while.
He's been quiet.
Which makes me scared.
Quiet.
Yeah.
Fury, where are you?
You're stalking. I know it. It's going to happen. You can talk to me. I'm at Greg Tito. You can follow me on the Twitters and ask me anything about Dungeons and Dragons. I try to get back to almost everybody. So
you're always on the Twitters.
I'm always trying. And if you want to find out more about Dungeons and Dragons, go to dungeonsanddragons.com. And of course, they were also on Twitter at wizards_DND. And we have been showing these live on Twitch on Mondays, starting at 2 p.m. Pacific time. So if you're just listening to this on the iTunes or Google Play or wherever you get podcasts, please come in and watch us and all the hilarity that ensues from the stuff that doesn't end up on the podcast.
Stage combat.
The stage combat, yes. You'll miss from the opening of this very session. Ryan Martha, our audio engineer, punched us in the face. And it was not fake. It was totally real. So you can only watch that on Twitch, but you can also check out, what do they call them? VODs, VODs, video on demands of these episodes. So if you like this episode, you can actually see it in real time on live on twitch.tv/DND.
The internet is forever.
Make it happen. All right. You guys have been great. We'll be back next week.
Bye-bye.
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 All right, that's the end of that episode. And now, poor Anna is, I told her to wait. I knew we were going to be a little bit late. So we're going to do should we do our quick intro or should we do it after the interview? Because she's got to be out hard at
then we
5.
should do it. Let's
we
do
should
it
just
now.
go right into it,
Yeah,
right?
because it's...
All right.
Yeah.
Do you need to, take a pit stop or anything? You good?
Yes, but I will...
Go make a pit stop. Go make a pit stop.
For
We got time
real?
for that. Yeah, 2 minutes.